On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. And Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. He said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. And when the steward tasted the water that had become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who drew the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord. My dear sisters and brothers in Jesus and Mary, do you want to be holy? Do you want to be a saint? When I ask these questions, what went on in your mind? Did you see holiness as being solemn and serious, sad and somber? Or did you see holiness and sainthood as being lively and joyful, happy and fully human? Some people think that to be holy means you need to have your head in the clouds, to walk in the air, and your feet far above the ground. Not many like to be called a holy Joe or a pious Jane. Saint Irenaeus, one of the early saints in the church, had this beautiful thing to say. He said, "The glory of God is when we as humans are fully alive." The image that we have of God and our understanding of holiness and sainthood is so important because it reveals the way that we respond and the way that we live. Did you see holiness as being somber and sad, solemn and serious? Or did you see holiness and sainthood as being lively and joyful, happy and fully human? Jesus was fully God, but Jesus was also fully human. And although he was fully human, he did not suddenly pull out the God card when he had to face difficulties and troubles and even death. Jesus was fully human and fully alive. You could say that in Jesus and Mary, you could see holiness with a human and with a joyful face. Jesus knew how to socialize and even how to party. Look at the number of times that we hear of food and of meals in the gospel. In fact, one of the accusations that people had about Jesus was that he's a glutton and a drunkard. Now, let's put that in context. Jesus knew how to rejoice, but it was more than mere rejoicing. It was a way of connecting with people wherever they are. So instead of seeking people only in a synagogue or the temple or the place of worship, he would meet them at where they lived, the place of work, whether it was the lakeshore, whether it was at the tax collector's office or wherever. Being joyful and being exuberant does not disqualify you from being holy, and a happy, holy person at that. The gospel today that I proclaimed for you gives us a glimpse. It is a wedding. It is party time. I do not think for a moment that Jesus sat in a quiet corner, solemn and serious. Remember, Jesus was there with his friends, and of course, his own mother, ever attentive Mother Mary, was with them as well. Now, in the midst of all that rejoicing and celebration, Mary discovers that the wine is running short. Her sensitive eyes and a caring heart discover they have no wine. Now, she did not go around proclaiming it publicly or gossiping about it or embarrassing the couple, say, "Oh, they didn't have enough wine for the wedding." No, she goes quietly and discreetly to Jesus. And very simply, she presents this lack that she has seen. They have no wine. No suggestions, no ideas, just leaving it in the hands of Jesus. The best place to be. Now, Mary's sensitive eyes did not only see the lack of wine, she saw how this could embarrass this bridal couple. Her sensitive heart sees that Jesus is capable of saving the day and of turning the situation around. Mary's sensitive heart appeals to Jesus to do something about the situation. And Mary's sensitive heart tells the waiters, do whatever Jesus tells you. What is the role of Jesus? Jesus responds to the voice of his mother and to the need of this bridal couple. And there happens the miracle, the changing of the water into wine. Now, a few important details. Miracles do not just fall from heaven. Quite often, what does Jesus do? He takes whatever is around and transforms them. So he takes the 5 loaves and 2 fish and he multiplies it for the people. When they say that they've been fishing all night and caught nothing, he says, lower your nets. And they find enough fish, not only for 1 boat, but for 2 boats as well. And here, he takes 6 jars of water and turns that into wine. Jesus takes whatever there is and whatever we have and whatever we offer and transforms it. And that's how miracles happen. Now, this is a gospel that you've heard so many times. But today, let us look at it personally and apply it to our homes and our families, especially in the context of what we recall today, those celebrating their wedding anniversaries, and in the context of our homes and our families, of everyone. Because where Jesus is, Mary also is, whether you acknowledge it or recognize that at all. So now I want each one of you to visualize Jesus and Mary present in your home, in your family, and in your marriage. Allow them a free run of your house to enter into every nook and corner. Mary looks around with a caring eyes, with a sensitive heart, and a hands eager to help. What does she notice? What does she observe by living in your home and in your family? Maybe she observes a truly loving and a happy marriage. Maybe a wonderful family atmosphere. So much of thoughtfulness, so much of caring, so much of sharing. She also notices in your home so much of repentance and forgiveness. She rejoices with you. She celebrates with you. Maybe that's what Mary would notice when she comes into your home or to your family. What else does she notice? What else does she observe? Could it be that she also discovers an amount of selfishness between one of the spouse or both of the spouses? Domination, threats, abuse, victims of addiction, constant grumbling, fault finding, never appreciating, no gratitude. What would she observe? What would she notice? Couples living in dead marriages, families and family members living like strangers in the home, husbands and wives who do not speak to each other, brothers and sisters that are at war with each other, and sometimes worse with their in-laws as well. And each thinks that the other is wrong and that I am right. Their self-righteousness just stinks. What would Mary observe? A joyful, happy situation, or something that is almost dead? And so Mary, with a caring eyes and sensitive heart, turns to Jesus and says, just as she did, they have no wine. She now makes her observations to Jesus about your family and your marriage. Perhaps she will say, son, they have no peace. Son, they have no security of job or their money. Son, they don't pray, they have no faith. Son, they're holding on to hatred and revenge. What is your story? What is your pain? What is it that is lacking in your marriage, in your home, in your family? What do you think Mary observes in your home and brings to the attention of Jesus? How do you think Jesus responds? He looks at you with the challenge of love. Or like I unceasingly like to proclaim, we have got a God who's scandalously merciful, shamelessly forgiving, generously loving. But he doesn't stop at that. He's also prophetically challenging you. He does not want you to be the worst version of yourself, but to be the best version of yourself. And so Jesus can work his miracles with our willingness and eagerness and cooperation that we show in turning the situation around with his grace. Jesus looks around for what I would call water jars, as he did at Cana, so that he can transform the situation. For a miracle to happen, we must do our part. What do we need to do in our families, in our marriages, for a breakthrough to take place? Perhaps it is to let go of the hatred and hurt that we have been holding on to for so long. It's only when we release it, we say, wow, why did I hold on for so long? A sense of transformation, a miracle. Perhaps it's time to get off the high horse of self-righteousness and stop blaming the other for everything that is going wrong and to acknowledge your part in it all. Perhaps the humility and the courage to seek professional help, counseling and therapy for a breakthrough. Perhaps you've gone on in this hopeless situation for so long, but today it must stop. The miracle happens when there is a change of heart, a change of attitude, a change of mentality, a change of behavior. Change, repent, forgive, seek help. Seek the help of Mary, her perpetual help, and be open to the challenge and to the grace of Jesus. The feast that we celebrate today is that of our Mother of Perpetual Help. And this icon that I spoke of at the very beginning, the icon of our Mother of Perpetual Help, is something that was handed over to the Redemptress in the year 1865. And in 1866, we began this public veneration of this wonderful icon. And Pope Pius IX gave it to the Redemptress, saying, make her known throughout the world. And we have tried to do this as faithfully and as zealously as we could. Today, it is one of the best recognized and well-loved icons across the world, which attracts not only Catholics, but Christians, and also people of other faiths. This is the icon. You know, there are two planks, you could say, of our Redemptress spirituality. With him, with the Redeemer, is plentiful redemption. With Mary is perpetual help. And this icon just reminds us of that. If you do not have a picture or the icon, please make sure that you have one which you place in your homes and then gaze at this icon. And allow the icon to gaze at you, at your home, in your family. I'd like to draw two important features out of the many that are there in this icon. The eyes of Mary and the hands of Mary. When you place the icon or the picture of our Mother of Perpetual Help, no matter where you stand, those eyes follow you. Not the eyes of a policewoman, not the one waiting to catch out, but the gentle eyes of a mother who's caring and whose concern is something that she takes to her heart, prays and intercedes for with Jesus, just as she did at Cana of Galilee. Those loving eyes of Mary. Look also, secondly, at her hands. With one hand, she holds Jesus close to her heart. And believe me, or rather believe the icon, Mary holds you and me close to her heart. And with the other hand, she points to Jesus. Just look at that. She points to Jesus saying, this is my beloved son, listen to him. She points to Jesus, do whatever he tells you. And they take us, Jesus and Mary, take us into their embrace. My dear sisters and brothers in Jesus and Mary, today as we celebrate this Eucharist on the feast of our Mother of Perpetual Help, my prayer is that we will allow ourselves to experience the depth, the concern, and the grace that comes to us, so that our lives will also be transformed, that miracles will also take place, just as they did at Cana of Galilee, because we open ourselves to God acting. With the Redeemer is plentiful redemption. With Mary is perpetual help.